Well, apparently we're live. Hello, everybody. Are you out
Hello.
there?
Is
Welcome to
anybody
Kitchen
out
Sink
there?
Microscopy, and we're back again. Uh, what were we going to talk about this time? Immortality, was it?
Well, you would so we had done a lightning strikes twice, and we kind of felt like it was cut short because it was
Yeah,
about immortality and reincarnation and kind of a bunch of different things.
yeah.
So I figure we could kind of expand on that. I mean, we really didn't cover that much.
There's no time for us.
Is this gonna be
There's no place for
is this gonna be our musical episode?
us.
Oh my god.
Who wants to live forever?
And then we
I won't do that to
immediately
people.
yeah
They've already
we,
left.
yeah, exactly. Oh man.
No,
Yeah.
that's definitely like a deep topic because
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
especially like we didn't even get into the reincarnation end of things, but you know, like if that's the case and we do kind of like experience life all over again, over and over again in other people's shoes, it's it's a little bit sad that we can't retain some of that so that we come with a little bit more built-in empathy. Or maybe that's what empathy is. It's just
It,
echoes or something.
yeah,
But
it could be. I mean, I would like to have, carry forward like some knowledge and experience
yeah,
and things like that.
that'd be kind of
Um,
cheating though.
well, yeah, you're right. But maybe like a subtle way. Not like full knowledge, but like you maybe have a little bit more innate talent, just like a little piece of it comes with you,
Hmm.
which could explain why some people have a propensity to be a little bit better at certain things than others, like just naturally.
Yeah,
So maybe, I don't know, maybe reincarnation explains that. Um,
it might. And like if reincarnation were something real, like in that capacity, you could see that as immortality.
mhm.
Like death is really just a transition at that point. It's not really an end.
Yeah,
Um, even though it often isn't so pleasant at that moment.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, like escaping that unpleasant part
Hmm.
is probably what most people associate with the word immortality. And
Hmm.
that is something that I think is getting closer on the scientific horizon.
It is, yeah. There's some discoveries that might make that possible. I mean, uh, at least slow aging,
Yeah.
like slowing it down. But obviously, it's like very early days kinds of things,
And, like replacing parts as they go bad and stuff.
which we are actually on the horizon of doing.
Oh
And
yeah.
that actually, in fact, oh, hey, Victoria, hi. Um,
Oh,
that we're on the verge of being able to essentially create, like, not, well, maybe adapt other creatures' organs to ours, but to create from scratch replacement parts,
oh yeah.
which is pretty awesome. I think that's good. In fact, I'd like to see. I like that. It's kind of like the lab grown meat thing. Why I want to see more of that, because it's like, oh well, oh yeah, okay, well we can adapt like the liver from a pig to work in a human or something, but like, well that means you have to take a liver out of a pig, So hmm,
And of course then it's, your body's fighting it off for the rest of your life too.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
but now with the advent of stem cell science and uh 3D printing and things in that realm, like where those two things intersect, you can actually see a lot of potential for replacing parts. There's a gel or something I think that a German lab came up with that you can inject into like a knee and just regrow. your knee joint without
Yeah,
like a super invasive surgery or like all the pain and long recovery and
I like,
uh
and I heard, or maybe no, I read an article. I don't remember all the details because it was kind of short, but there was a group of Japanese scientists or something that came up with some kind of uh, substance or something that you could, like a pill or something that would just cause your teeth to regrow.
oh,
I
I
don't know if
think I
you've
heard
heard that.
about that. Um, they've been working on that for some time,
Mhm.
uh, based off of shark stem cells, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Which I honestly, I've always thought like, why aren't we looking closely at sharks? Because they can just keep regenerating their teeth over and over again, and we can't. So like, there must be a way to
Well,
hack that, right?
well, the dental industry doesn't want that.
hmm
They're making way too much money on it. Yeah, I mean, imagine if you just lose teeth and a new tooth would come out, on the regular.
Yeah,
And it is kind of weird if you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint that we don't do that. That we only get two sets.
hmm
And then that's it. And then, well, hey, if something happens to a tooth, well, that's the end of the game right there.
yeah,
And well, maybe now it's not such a big deal, but back in the day, it was having like being able to chew food was important. So if you like started losing teeth and stuff, like what do? You die
right.
essentially.
And that's why I always say like, people say that we are evidence of a creator because we're so perfect, and it's like, well, there's a glaring example of some oversight,
We
like,
are
well,
anything
if you
but
happen to lose
perfect.
your teeth, you're gonna starve. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
We are anything but perfect. That's the
right.
thing.
Meanwhile, sharks,
Yeah.
and they are basically immortal. Like they can live a
Mhm.
super long time. They haven't really needed to evolve since, I don't know, like before the dinosaurs even existed.
They're
So,
basically top dog in the food chain down there.
yeah, they
Yeah.
would be up here too if they could breathe
Yeah. Well, there's some
and
fantasy
run.
video. There's some fantasy video games based on that. So, uh, the shark dating simulator.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sharknado.
yeah, Sharknado, man, those movies. Jeez.
Have you
But
ever actually watched them?
the first one, and
I don't think I have.
it's it's ridiculous, but like it's a lot of fun. And I do enjoy movies like that where it's like, yeah, it's cheesy, it's low budget, but like it's fun. Like there's one of my favorite ones that came out of Uganda, Who Killed Captain Alex, um, had a budget of $200, and it is the most goofy, ridiculous thing ever. It's like you can't even tell what the plot is. It just goes from one thing to the next, and like there's no cohesion of scenes, but it's just awesome. And to know that like they basically had no budget and they just did it for fun. And while there was a civil war going on, by the way, um, like they're filming a shot while there's like soldiers in the background and stuff, and yeah, it's like, man, respect for that. That's
Jeez.
cool. But yeah, anyway, guys, like I mean, obviously we're going to cover reincarnation and immortality. And yeah, I believe in reincarnation. Just to
Hmm.
get that out there, I believe it's a thing. Now, do I believe in souls? Maybe, maybe I because it's like there's I definitely know there's something out there, and we are more like what we are is more than just the physical side of things, as far as I can tell. Like maybe there's a
Yeah.
fourth dimensional component or something that kind of is poking into the our three-dimensional world, something like that.
Okay, well, to 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 use Red Dwarf in an actual philosophical sense, you
Mhm.
remember Legion, right?
Yeah.
Where there was a gestalt entity made up of like four brilliant minds, right? And when they all died, he just ceased to exist.
Hmm.
And then when the four not so brilliant people and Red Dwarf showed up, he existed again, but he was just a little bit less brilliant
Yeah.
that actually is really deep when you think about what a soul probably is. Like it, it is some weird composite like attached to your body and relates back and forth. It identifies itself as kind of like one. And then when you die, though, like you no longer have the hardware to run the program of you, right? So
Hmm.
the information is floating around out there, but it's useless. So like wherever that information ends up, it will never be you again, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's an interesting thought. Hmm. Wow. Oh, we have some comments we should probably address
Oh,
too.
yeah. Actually, we are exploring sharks, but the whole they have cartilage, not bone thing is actually a simplification of a much more complicated thing. Um, I mean, and the teeth aren't either. It's enamel, right?
Well, I mean, it's a kind of a hybrid, I guess. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
enamel, but then there's stuff inside too. So,
Mm. It's not always they don't want to. Often people are doing the work, but the general public isn't seeing it because it's not as simple as it sounds.
well, and also work may being done, but it it isn't like there's no application to really publish that's interesting to people. So it's kind of like it's like more like the processes are going on behind the scenes, and there's no reason to tell anybody that because what there's nothing to show for it essentially.
I mean, it's all about funding too. Like
It is, yeah.
you
Well,
have to go for what the investors think is going to make them the most money and
yeah, and a lot of things come from like military budgets and stuff like that. So
mm,
they want results.
yeah.
So doing these kind of side projects is
The
hard.
weird thing though is like, yeah, I can see why you would want to research things that have the opportunity to make the most money, but the things that make the most money tend to be aligned with the things that the most people need, and
Well,
everybody would need new teeth at some point, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And so like Bell Labs is a good example of how we should be doing things, at least where the way they used to operate. They basically had this kind of machine, this facility where a bunch of scientists and engineers and dreamers and thinkers all came together, and they kind of had free reign to just develop things because the company understood that yeah, you're going to have a bunch of pointless things that may come out of this, but you can put that on a shelf for future use. And like whenever it's like you can piece all these different things together over time. They played the long game essentially is what it
Hmm.
is. And that's how we should be doing it. It's like maybe, oh yeah, okay, this study or whatever these things that we're developing may seem pointless, but like, okay, we come to a conclusion about it and just put it over there and just remember that it's there, and then maybe another discovery is made that ties into that and we're like, oh shit, this is big, we could stick these two things together and it'll be something cool. So if
You
you
know,
don't do those.
that's a really good idea. That should actually be like we should jump on that and start like a nonprofit endeavor
Mm-hmm,
to sort of build the next library of Alexandria
mm-hmm.
for just discovery. Like
Yeah.
anything you find, whether or not it's useful now or whatever, let's deposit that here, have
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of fail safes and backups and, redundancies and and just have all this information open source, freely available to everybody.
Yeah.
If you upload it, anyone can read it, take it, make something out of it, whatever. But like just start compiling all that because like the way I see things going, uh, you know, as a global society, like I think we might need that at some point.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely like if you look at like, of course the company had a profit motive, but again, like I said, it was a long-term thing. They weren't looking at like the short term. They're like, well, 50 years in the future, we're going to do something. And out of Bell Labs came some of the most important technologies and things of the past century, essentially. They really, boy, I mean, just you can look up the list. I'm not going to go into it right now, but I mean, there are so many game changing things that they created out of there. And it was kind of like a loose sort of place where people were just sort of free to create. And sometimes people were handed a project to work on, but there wasn't a whole lot of oversight per se, like strictness. Um, a lot of people were just kind of off doing their own thing.
Hmm.
And that's good because it's that free experimentation when you have, because like I mean they obviously had the means, the money to be able to, it's like, hey, if I need some weird exotic material or a piece of equipment or whatever, they could just provide it and you could use it, or maybe it was already there and you could use it and test something, test a new idea and stuff like that. So that we need more of that. I would love to see that. And I love the open source thing. We do need like a repository for all
Hmm.
information that anybody can access. And that, man, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Some comments here that I could speak to as a person who worked in the science realm.
Yeah.
I'm all for funding scientists doing passion because sometimes the most useful stuff comes from the oddest unrelated stuff that seems pointless. But disregarding that scientists are doing work because you aren't seeing it is off to me. Um, right. So uh, the double-edged sword in science is that it's super fucking expensive and long. Like
Mm.
anything like you want to get to market, you're looking at a runway of like 10 years if it works.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, it might take you 9 or 10 years to find out it doesn't work. And then you've got to start over on something else or have something else on the back burner or,
Yeah.
be running multiple things at a time with several avenues of investors and regulatory nightmares and stuff. But all those regulatory nightmares are super important because safety.
Yeah.
And so like it kind of is what it is, and of course it is driven by capitalism, and so there's a market to consider and
Sure.
all that
Sure.
stuff.
Well,
But
and I mean, I think those things are not incompatible. Like I think
right.
they
Well,
they,
that
they can
said,
all
there
work
is something
together.
called the orphan indication. So like there are grants that you can get if you want to work on something that nobody's paying attention to,
Hmm.
even if it's rare and it only affects like a handful of people, sometimes maybe, like you can actually work on that stuff if
Yeah.
you choose to.
I would encourage people to look up the development of the blue LED, which I would say is one of the most important creations in the, like it's up there with like the internet and stuff like that. It's a huge
Yeah.
deal, and it's a real interesting story of basically one guy with a mission and a vision up against all odds, and he finally did it. I mean, it wasn't just one guy. There was kind of several people sort of working together somewhat independently.
Huh.
But yeah, it's a remarkable story. Um, but anyway, yeah.
Oh,
Let's see. We have.
here's a comment. I got a multitude of injections and immunizations this week, and just ow. I feel your pain, literally. I got my testosterone injection, nice 20 gauge needle, 4 milliliters of something as thick as motor oil. and
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it hit a nerve because like my whole right leg was useless for this whole week, and I got a flu vaccination and pneumococcal at the same time, so I got pretty sick. I mean, like fever, but
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry to
ugh.
hear that, Victoria. Sorry, that's
Yeah,
sucks.
feel your pain though.
Let's see. Going to have another one. Also, what the internet was supposed to be, the library could not be lost, but then we privatized it. Well, yeah, and I mean, one of the problems with the internet and preserving things on servers and stuff is energy,
Mhm.
and maintenance and stuff. It's like somebody's got to do that. It boy, I don't know how you would manage that, and it would have to be a global thing. It couldn't just be like one country. It would have to be everybody pooling their resources together to maintain this,
Right.
because it would have to be a international library where everybody has
If
access
for
to it
if for
because
nothing else, like for fail safes and like brownouts and stuff like that, you
well
definitely have to spread out the load.
you would want
Make it.
redundancy as well, so you'd need like a copy of it
Hmm.
in multiple places. That's typical in what I do in IT work, that you have a set of servers or whatever far away, so if there's a natural disaster, you're covered. um yeah,
I
so
uh I recently saw some guy did this little DIY hack at his house. He got like 1,000 recycled laptop batteries and
mhm,
like repaired them and built this little like shack far enough away from his house so it wasn't a fire hazard,
mhm.
and hooked them up to solar panels and just has like 1,000 laptop batteries recharging and powering his house
Yeah.
from solar power alone.
Oh, I've
And
seen that being done. Yeah, it's
so, I mean, like something like that could actually like alleviate a lot of the strain on energy consumption,
yeah, I
possibly.
mean, there's the environmental consideration though, like batteries in general, at least as they currently stand, they all represent kind of a harm, potential harm to the environment, whether it be manufacturing or whether it be disposal, because they do have a finite lifespan. I I'm a big proponent of nuclear power, as you're well aware. I think that's the only direction we really should be pushing. Um, and it's scalable. There are companies making like truck sized uh, power plants that you can like link together and stuff like that.
The
um,
cold fission thing just happened, I think.
Fusion.
Fusion, yeah.
Yeah, fission is what we currently have. Yeah.
Yeah, the cold fusion thing just happened. I read something about that, and
Well,
uh,
it,
China, I think, pulled that off.
and that's good, but I think it's going to be quite a while before it comes to fruition.
Hmm.
And it's like we already have fission reactors that work, so why not just use them, right?
Yeah.
Like why don't we just use what we already know how to do? We already know how to do it. Um, we know it works. Let's just use it. And there are now reactors that can burn that fuel way down, so it's like nowhere near as dangerous. And even then it's like there's a lot of misinformation about the danger of spent fuel rods and stuff like that. It's really not that bad. um so we should go back into reincarnation, I suppose.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah, a little bit of a tangent.
yeah.
Um, I mean, well, I mean, what we were talking about though, like depositing ideas for the long term, having a infrastructure for that would be good if there were the advent of at least a near immortality, right? Where
Hmm.
you could live for a really long time because memory does fade. I
Yeah,
don't think they're really gonna fix that, at least not in the near future.
I think we'd have
Um,
to have bigger brains.
yeah.
Because basically
So,
like those proteins get replaced with new ones and shit, and it's like
mhm.
yeah.
Like having a good solid repository that's detached from politics and money
Mm-hmm.
is a good idea.
Well, and I was just thinking like like this is sort of like reincarnation in a way that you jogged my memory. Speaking of memory, of a concept of like basically downloading your brain, all your memories into a storage device of some sort. Um,
Hmm,
that's an interesting concept.
yeah.
And then maybe even like uploading it into another person or into like a robot or something, or even just into a computer. Like you remember the second Professor Moriarty episode in TNG?
Hmm.
Like he was stored in a little cube that was like basically a holodeck or
Yeah.
something, so he could live out his life in a virtual world.
They did implant a memory in a snail.
Hmm.
Don't ask me how they know that worked. Um, uh, but that sort of technology is being experimented with. The whole, I think I even read something about like um, memories and dreams and stuff like that being able to be um reviewed and replayed and stuff like that. Like
Dream recorder.
yeah. Which I don't know how that would like that would be really weird and trippy and abstract, I feel like
Well, because dreams are already super abstract, so like what would that
exactly.
even look like?
Like it's not like when you're dreaming, everything looks like you're watching it on a two-dimensional screen in front of your face or something, like
Yeah, and it isn't
it's
even really fully coherent. Like it's kind of all over the place, so I don't know.
yeah.
Who wants to get downloaded to the internet or on the internet? Yeah. Or uploaded. Yeah. Good correction. Yeah. I don't know about the internet. I honestly like, I remember in the 90s when it all sort of became more mainstream because I actually dealt with the internet in the 80s, um, way back in the day, and it was a very different animal. But by the 90s, you had like the World Wide Web, you had HTML, you had, it was a much more user friendly experience. And it just kept seeming like it was moving more and more forward. And it was a very Wild West kind of place. Like there weren't a lot of restrictions, people were pretty free. It was, well, and one of the things too, the unfortunate side, like I said, about servers and maintenance and costs and stuff, and bandwidth and whatnot, it's like a lot of the free stuff that everybody got access to. I mean, you remember like Angel Fire and GeoCities, everybody had
Hmm.
a page and there was so much content, right? It's all gone now, because they were basically funded by people thinking, oh, this is going to be the next big thing. We're going to make so much money off of advertising. And they really didn't. So a lot of those companies flopped and took all that information with them. And so that's kind of what I was saying. Like we need kind of like an internet 2.0, I think, like
Yeah.
a international created, because it's such an integral part of global life now. I mean, it's important to everybody. Um, and
Right. And Internet 1.0, if we can call it that, or let's just call it that for the sake of argument,
mhm.
it can be considered like compromised quite a
It's
bit.
it is highly compromised. I would not say it could be considered. It is 100% fully, absolutely compromised. Keep in mind, the original name for the internet was ARPANET, which is, I mean, now it's DARPA. It's a defense research company that makes all kinds of, ooh, look at some of the shit they've done. Like, oh boy. But they basically developed the internet for wartime use. So like it was kind of a distributed networking structure. So for communication, so if one site with like a major city was taken out, well, it could just route around to other places. Um, and then they just kind of released it to the public. And, of course, the military has their own version. But I'd like to see something that's more like distributed, like, well, mesh networking could potentially do something like that, where everybody holds a little piece of the internet on their own computer, but it's mirrored on other computers, little bits and pieces. Um, and we can even use things like Starlink too, so we don't rely on terrestrial companies, these big companies, because really, if you look at like who controls the backbone of the internet, it's a very small handful of organizations.
Yeah,
And
well, Starlink would be stupid in that aspect because that's
well,
one organization.
I know, but something akin to that, perhaps.
Yeah,
Like we could even start with Starlink. That's just the comm side of things. That's not the storage. You are the storage.
yeah. Well, that would be the key, wouldn't it? Is having I would look to Nikola Tesla and try to come up with something that's not being done right now. That's not
Yeah.
already latched onto by commercial interests, like because the second you do that, the whole point of your endeavor is fucked. Like
Yeah. Well,
all the tendrils come in and take it over and capitalize it.
and just like I've said with power, right? Like I don't think wind and solar are bad. I just think they're not going to be the end all be all. Nuclear should be the core. Wind and solar, maybe even like geothermal, whatever. These other things could be kind of like additional things to add to it, and kind of add a little more robustness to the system. So when it comes to Internet 2.0, if you had a mesh network, a distributed internet, like storage system, right? Which is kind of like you know oh god, the name is skipping my mind, like LimeWire and whatnot, torrent stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like everybody, when you download something from torrent using torrent systems, um, you can see like it's taking a little piece from this place, it's taking a little piece and assembling it into the final thing. Um, and that's what we need. We need something like that where everybody, you may have a copy, everybody's got a copy or a couple copies and things like that, and then you can use whatever, like with power, right? You can use Starlink if you want. If Starlink is compromised, well, then you switch over to Comcast. If Comcast is compromised, then you switch over to, you could even use LoRa mesh, to have, I mean, if it's prevalent enough, it'll almost cover the globe. There's a whole lot of, and they all can integrate together too. So it's like, um, that I don't know, but and LoRa mesh, the nice thing about that, or well, if we were to develop that a little bit further, something like that, it's open source. It's completely out of the hands of any government or any regulatory authority or any um, like company or whatever, and you can communicate like point site to site or from
Hmm.
multiple sites and stuff like that. You could basically create your own little mesh network. Um,
Hmm.
and so maybe something like that would be nice. I'd like to see that. And well, because then at that point, then nothing would ever go away.
Huh.
You wouldn't have like a GeoCities or whatever. You would just, uh, you know, create your thing, and as long as your system is on, it's available, and maybe somebody else might replicate it, you know. um I don't know, I don't have all the knowledge to be able to figure out the right way to do that, but that's something, that's sort of the direction I'd like to see things go in,
Yeah.
because as it stands right now, you know servers are run by companies typically. I mean, you can, okay, look, you can go and get yourself a server for free. Basically, they're people I have a stack of them at my work for eCycle. You basically just grab one, set it up in your house, and there you go. Now you have a server, and you can set up a website or whatever, and have
Hmm.
that there. And as long as it's there, then you know
Isn't a server just like a powerful computer? Like
it is.
like
They're basically, servers are, yeah, it is a powerful computer, but they're built
like with
for
dedicated
modularity.
purpose and
And they're designed to be more hardy.
Mhm.
and they're modular, so it's like you can change things out while they're on without taking it down.
Oh,
That's really the biggest key factor. Like
hmm.
like a lot of servers will have two power supplies. So if one goes, you just pop one out, switch over, put the new one in. You have like 4 or 8, however many hard drive bays, and there's some spares. So if one starts failing, you pull that one, it switches over to the other, and then you
Oh,
swap them
so
around.
they're Klingon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, but you can easily set your own thing up, and now nobody can dictate what you can do. Well, except governments. That's the thing. I'm sure if you were hosting questionable things on your server, that first off, because of the way the internet's structured, they know your IP address and stuff like
Well,
that. So
Internet 1.0, yeah.
yes, yes,
But
and that's where 2.0 needs to be free of that, because that, like I was saying back in the 90s, I was seeing how things were going, and I'm like, man, this is total freedom. We can break free. It's the same thing with Bitcoin, like that. We're breaking free of the banks and government authorities and stuff like that. It's completely independent. You can't kill it. I mean, Russia tried to ban Bitcoin and then was like, oh yeah, oh never mind. Like, it's impossible. You can't ban it. I mean, you can say you ban it, but it won't go away. So we need something like that, a very robust, independent system that's open source, that's distributed, that can't be messed with, because it's like, oh, well, the US government tries to shut me down. Well, there's somebody in, like, I don't know, Guatemala that has a mirror of my shit. So it never goes away.
yeah, I love how we go from immortality to Internet 2.0.
Well, it ties in because
It
we're
does,
talking
yeah.
about uploading your mind to a server or something like that.
Yeah, and the
And
comment, I mean, are they really different? Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it is a good tie-in, especially with, like if we're gonna start thinking about our bodies in a longer term perspective, we have to start thinking about our minds as well, and having a technological backup for our minds is a prudent idea.
Hmm.
And separating it, like building it in, like an like ground up inbuilt thing to have it just be completely detached from government and corporations is vital, I think.
Hmm.
Um,
That
like,
was the dream. That was because, I mean, you know my history of like BBS days and
mm,
hacking and freaking and anarchist stuff. Um, and but like that was the culture. It's like, trying to break free of the system. And I would love to see that. Obviously, governments and corporations are going to go down fighting tooth and nail. Um,
oh
but
yeah,
but it has to happen. Like, look at where we are. Look at what, if you think about it. And I was going to do a minute microscopy about this. I have like a loose list of things, but like, if you think about it, almost every woe that people have that's not biological, well, maybe in some cases biological, almost every woe in people's lives can be traced back to government and corporations,
yeah.
which, I mean, these days they're basically one and the same. um, so I you basically name me something that's wrong in your life and I can trace it back to government. I mean, we're not going to do it right now. That would be it. It's an episode in and of itself. But basically, if you just sit there and logically think, okay, you look at the problem. Okay, well, what caused that? Oh, that thing. Okay, well, what caused that? Well, that thing. What caused that? Well, that thing. And eventually, you're going to end up at the government, like one way or another. So I'd like to see a world where we can step out of that. But obviously, I'm an anarchist, so you can expect me to say that. But in doing that, like what we're talking about, we can also, it'd be a great benefit to humanity at the
Well,
same
yeah,
time.
it would provide an opportunity to have an infrastructure for what the ideal government would be there to provide.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it could be a repository for information, for communication in times of need
Mm-hmm.
for something,
Yeah.
like with that kind of interconnectivity across the entire globe that everyone would have access to in some weird no wires sort of Nikola Tesla beam directly to your brain kind of
No, no,
thing.
he did actually develop like a global communication system
Hmm.
and power transmission system
Yeah.
that utilized
Like
the Earth
it's
as a.
possible, so
Mhm.
we should replicate it
Yes.
and utilize it
Mhm.
independent of governments and corporations
Yes.
and build this infrastructure so that we have a network of each other as humans on Earth to depend on
Yeah.
so that we are finally like excised from the need to lean on governments and corporations.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
say and corporations because we actually wouldn't need to buy shit anymore either because we are post scarce,
Well, we might
So
need to. Yeah. Well, and we could use things like Bitcoin. Obviously, that we've talked about this. I think some medium of exchange that we can all agree on that
mhm.
would be beneficial. Like we did Saturn barter, the credit system and stuff. Which
I
was
would
a.
urge people to check out our identity or I what was it called? Integrity Coin,
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Integrity Coin episode.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
although
and
that's
this is.
the name of a crypto, so I
Yeah, yeah,
think I came
yeah.
up with something different, but
Well, and this
yeah.
is something. It's like we're dreaming up these ideas and pondering things and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, we can insert that into the system and let other people take that and carry it forward or add to it or whatever, or
Hmm.
subtract from it. Like, oh, well, that's not going to work because of this right now, but whatever. Um, and that's where we need that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, we have some comments too. Uh, let's see. Oh yeah, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, the downsides, predators again, a predator. Oh, do we want a system that empowers that type of people that would store some of the questionable stuff? Well, I know, and yeah, predators are going to predator. The question is, what will we do to deal with that as a group? I, that's a tricky question, honestly, because it's like you can't have freedom
Which one?
without.
The first one?
They're tied together
Oh, okay.
in a sense. And I mean, there are probably ways we don't know because it's like we haven't built such a system yet, but there's probably going to be ways to mitigate that um, somehow. But again, it's like it doesn't exist yet, so I don't know. um, uh,
Right.
Parental
Um,
controls, of course, it's like on the back end, you can definitely do something to block certain things and control things. And if you are anonymous, I mean, that's kind of it's a double-edged sword, right? Like it defends you against somebody being able to find you and target you, but it also allows that person to not be found as well.
right. Yeah, this is a great philosophical quandary. Um, I assume we're probably talking about something in the realm of like Epstein, right? Like child
Yeah,
predators and
yeah,
stuff like that, and pornography and all that.
yeah.
Um, it, in the grand scheme of things, like I don't think you should spin your wheels too much trying to prevent something from ever happening and then setting your bar to that point where you're only going to be disappointed. Like you can certainly do everything in in your cognitive abilities to prevent housing things like that, but you have to curtail yourself from hindering the the greater good because the larger percentage of the use is going to be above the belt.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
So like you have to have your dark web. You
Yeah.
have to just let it be there.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like crime. You can't get rid of all crime.
Yeah. There's no
And
point in trying. Like,
no, I mean you could do some things, but you have to have the expectation that it's impossible to fully stop it without
mhm.
being a complete totalitarian system. Right? You could obviously stop it if everybody's sitting in cages all day and they have, like sure. Yeah, there's not going to be any crime at all because you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And one of the problems too with control systems for things like that is who determines what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. And it's like, okay, well, there's certain things that I think most people would agree are unacceptable, but when you have a system to control things, it can end up reaching further, like mission creep, and it may end up being like, oh well, I don't like your religious talk, talk of religion, or this particular political persuasion is a no-no or whatever, who knows. And
Well,
so how do you check
here's a
that?
very unpopular
Mm-hmm.
idea. I know it's I've never uttered it before, but I know it's already unpopular. Um, uh, with the advent of AI, something like this would actually become possible in the spirit of prohibition generally being a very stupid idea
Yes.
and giving you the opposite results of what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would think that allowing there to be a space on the internet for AI created child pornography
Mm-hmm.
would really alleviate a lot of the problems. Here's why.
Okay.
Number one, your your AI is actually capable of producing something realistic enough that it would satiate the sick and twisted desires of the clientele
Mm-hmm.
it's meant for. Um, so much that then the victims in that scenario no longer need to be acquired against their will.
Well, there
You know
wouldn't
what I'm
have,
saying here? Like you no
well, no, I
longer would need child trafficking because there's a plethora of AI generated kiddie porn for people to do whatever they do in
yeah,
the
yeah.
shadows,
Well,
release their dopamine and set their mind at ease so that they're not out doing worse shit. Like yes, these people are they've got problems, but
sure.
telling them that they need to be like the dregs of society for the rest of their lives and go off into the shadows and fuck off for the rest of their lives just because of that isn't making the situation better.
Well, they're treated awful
Yeah.
by society rather than being treated as like, oh, well, maybe we should get you some help or something. Now, what you said though is absolutely correct. I do agree because with AI generated stuff, there is no victim.
There's no victim. Yeah.
There's because and that's the whole premise of
Hmm.
like the prosecution and control of all these things.
Not only is there no victim, you're removing the need to go looking for real victims.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I mean, except for maybe in the case of like people who want physical interaction.
okay,
However,
true,
we're
but you're
already
reducing it.
yeah.
Let's say you're
Well,
reducing it a great
and I'm
deal,
going to get to a point in a second too, but we're already at that point now where we can basically have replicants that can serve that purpose
Oh yeah.
without. So it's like, okay, well, you just have basically a robot or a sex bot or whatever that can do that, and now there you go. Now there's no need for a human. So you got everything covered. Now,
Yeah.
also, I want to bring up a point because back in the 90s after Columbine and whatnot, that there was all this kind of, it was a moral panic about video games. there were violent video games, Doom, and blah blah. And of course, you look at Doom today, and you're like, that's that doesn't even look realistic at all. But they were like, oh, it's so realistic. But now we have games that are super super realistic, and of course, things that happen again. It keeps coming back. They blame the violent video games. However, basically every study that's studied it has found that people who play video games are less inclined to be violent. It's like you kind of get it out of your system.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, well, okay, there you go. Like it's the people who don't play those video games who go out and be
That
violent.
that's uh, that's like hitting the nail on the head. Like getting it out of your system is the key to reducing the bad shit in the world.
Yeah,
Like people that have desires, you can't just tell them no. That doesn't make the desire go away.
yeah.
Um, like anybody should be able to understand this. Like
Well, okay,
if
you're
you
right.
want a piece of chocolate and then somebody says, "No, you can't have that chocolate right now." Do you still want the chocolate? Well, fucking of course you do.
Yeah,
Like,
and you're going to find a way to get it, and maybe it'll involve some kind of criminal activity besides,
hmm?
the acquisition of chocolate as the crime. Well, okay, I would say okay, and this is one of the things for understanding. Like this is how I attempt to understand things that I don't understand or don't fully comprehend, is to shift the perspective, like the angle, like how I'm viewing it. So for those who think that all this, what we're talking about, is they're like, oh my God, if you're taken aback by it, all right, well, uh, pretend instead that it's not people who are into children, but it's same-sex people, like a gay person,
Right.
a man who's attracted to other men, and it's illegal in society. And I mean, and it was for the longest time looked down, like people had to really operate in super secret.
Yeah.
And well, okay, well, would you consider it wrong for a gay man in a society that doesn't agree with people being gay to have a way to you know get that out, have that experience and stuff like that in a safe
Right.
way that isn't violating any people at all?
Star Trek kind of touched on this actually, if you think about it from
Mhm.
prohibition angle with synthahol.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people hear the word synthahol and assume that it just tastes like alcohol with none of the effects, but in canon, it actually does have effects,
Mhm.
but the effects are mitigated and there's no hangover.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't affect your job
What
pretty
what
much
I
at all.
what I've heard is that basically it's like you do have like the alcohol effect, but you can kind of shrug it off. Like,
hmm
oh, if you're called into duty, you can just kind of like shrug it off. Probably my guess would be like you can't just kind of shake your head and you're good. You probably take like a countermeasure drink or something, and it's all gone, and you can go back to work or whatever.
Yeah, who
But
knows?
yeah, they
But I
never
mean
really
that
explained it
that
fully.
that premise is speaking to the point. Like, eh, you know, you have to come up with more creative solutions to problems that concern like a difference in desire.
Yeah,
Like it it's totally okay to have social norms built around desires and say that desiring children is not socially acceptable. That's perfectly reasonable
yeah.
for a lot of reasons. But
Mhm.
to straight out prohibit it and make it illegal while better than doing nothing is still exacerbating the problem.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, it's like not actually solving the problem. you know, I mean, people go to jail, they get on lists and stuff like that, and well, there's still people doing it.
Hmm.
So obviously there's a reason there. But we're definitely a little off topic here, but as
Yeah, well, I
I
mean,
mean,
like if you're gonna be immortal, you have to start figuring out how to fix some of these things,
oh yeah,
right?
we were talking about Internet 2.0 and how
hmm
like how do you mitigate some of the
Yeah,
potential
like,
bad sides.
you get rid of the dark web or do you embrace it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, the comment here I'll give you in regards, I'm assuming, to the AI kitty porn. I'll give you a yes, and in order to acquire these resources you suggest, you have to sign up for counseling. It's not a bad idea.
Well,
Like,
again, but shifting it to like, what if it was a gay person?
uh,
That because it's like it is a desire, and
valid
that
point.
that like
Like,
what
what do you call wrong and what do you call like
yeah,
aberrant or whatever, like,
where do we draw the line? What about
yeah,
people who are into like scat or into animals or whatever or like strange things that we find disgusting and
yeah,
they find arousing? Like,
yeah.
where do
I
you draw
mean,
the line there?
yeah, as long as you've provided a practical method for alleviating that itch without a real world victim,
Mm-hmm.
I think you've gone as far as you need to go.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. And maybe, well, one of the things too, having this internet 2.0 kind of system, open counseling and stuff too, open therapy, like where you're not limited to just what the government
yeah,
tells you can do. You could
yeah,
go, you could talk to somebody in China or something who's like
yeah.
a therapist and
Because I'm sure there are people in that camp that have those desires that are perfectly well aware that it's not normal
mm-hmm,
and probably don't even like it, but still succumb to it.
yeah,
And they would probably be happy to have counseling available. Now, that said, for those that wouldn't want to bother with the counseling and just would be satiated by the AI stuff,
mm-hmm.
then, problem solved for that person,
I mean,
as far as
I would
I'm
argue,
concerned.
yeah, I agree in that like that is a massive reduction in harm. That like it's like harm reduction rather than eliminating harm. I don't think you can.
Hmm.
It's kind of like crime, right? Yeah,
Yep.
we should do what we can to reduce crime, but if our goal is zero crime, well, the outcome is totalitarianism. That's the only
Actually,
way you can achieve that.
yeah, in this recent comment, I was just about to bring this up actually, and taking an actual victim should have actual dire consequences, no matter what about their future bullshit. Yeah, if you have created a zero prohibition environment for like you've removed excuses for going after a real victim, the consequences should then be more severe. Same
Yeah.
same thing with like holding police to a higher standard, like
Mm-hmm.
you're expected to be upholding the law, so you need to be like subjected to the law much harsher when you
Yes.
break it,
If you break it, yeah, absolutely. Sure. I agree in that regard. That's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, because there is no excuse for doing that at that point. Like then you are just straight up being an asshole. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's
exactly.
no arguing your way out of that.
No, no. That's true. Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, and it's like violent video games, right? Like you, if you have access to that, I mean, you can get it out of your system,
Right.
um, or like a virtual reality fight or something like that, or even robot fight or something.
The line is consenting adults. Well, you know what? Like that's another good point. Like AI porn doesn't have to be just kids. It could be animals. It could be rape fantasies. It could be all these aberrant things that would involve real world victims, or at
Yeah,
least potential victims if they're not into the, you know, role play aspect of a particular kink. Like there are ways to allow people to have whatever kinks they want to have and just let that be.
yeah,
It's totally possible.
sure, I agree. Yeah,
I mean, 40 years ago, maybe not, but now it's totally possible. Like,
Oh, and it's
so why
only
not take advantage of that, you know?
yeah, and it's only going to get more like capable and realistic and things. I mean, you
Hmm.
can already put prompts in and into systems and basically get out a short film that looks pretty close to the real thing. It's kind of insane.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, what do you want to go back to immortality and reincarnation and stuff,
Wow, yeah.
or just
Immortality to Internet 2.0 to child porn. Yeah, we're
oh
definitely not monetized on this
nope,
one. And
nope. So yeah, we would definitely appreciate some I don't know, some
yeah,
Patreon
give us
something.
some of those super fan things or something, or at least
super
hype the video.
super
That's a big
chat.
thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, well, actually, like let's get into the reincarnation aspect because that in that lightning strikes twice, I mentioned this. Speaking of AI, this AI video of people interviewing one of the Greys, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a captured alien,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about how death isn't real, and we all just like we all share the same life, and when we die, we just start over as a new iteration of that life, and in some point in time and space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually thought that was a super cool philosophical ideal, and that's an interesting way to perceive immortality, right? Like
Yeah.
you may die, but you still live. Like
Mm-hmm.
you keep living. It just you start over, kind of like. I mean, it would
Well,
be
sort of.
like losing at a video game and
I,
having to start over. You
I
know?
was just gonna say that because the concept of life as a game and stuff, but this is more like life as a video game where yeah
Mhm.
you die and now you lose all your stuff and your progress. You have to start at the beginning of the level or whatever.
Mhm.
Maybe you carry with you like a couple things that you had, but not all of it.
Was it like Metal Gear Solid where you like couldn't save and you had to do the whole
Oh,
game from the beginning every time
I
or
I
something?
think so. There's a lot of games like that actually.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
throughout history.
yeah. Maybe that's all reincarnation is. Maybe that's what life is. Is
Well, and in fact, we can. This kind of ties into a little bit of this stuff, simulation theory,
Mhm.
because maybe this physical realm isn't actually physical at all. It could just be a virtual simulation. And and this is the thing where there is no way to tell.
Well, I
We
think a blend of the two is probably the correct answer because like it can be real, but also at the same time, you could really describe what that AI alien was talking about as a simulation.
yeah, well maybe like a holodeck or something possibly.
It'd be indiscernible from, like I mean, but well, okay, well, does simulation theory imply that somewhere out there there's another being experiencing this in a matrix style scenario?
I don't know. I mean,
I mean, to me, the name implies that, like we're actually imagining this and we exist somewhere else as an independent being. But
oh no, not like the Matrix, but more like the entire universe that we live in is simulated. Like all
uh,
of us are like a holodeck, essentially a holodeck creation, but really, really big.
uh,
So we're walking around, but we're all like simulated components of it too. More like, I guess you could almost say like a video game,
huh,
right? All the players are virtually there. They're not actually there. But of course, the Matrix style thing is more like a video game that you're playing with other people, like on the internet. But I'm thinking more like how to say it, like, well, maybe there could be a consciousness of some sort, but well, and that's where reincarnation would kind of fit in. Now I'm getting confused here. My mind is like going in too many different directions at once. Um, I the idea is that basically all of this is a simulation. Like every single thing, our bodies are simulations, like everything. And this whole universe. And it may even be our consciousness is simulated too.
Yeah. I don't know. That just broke my brain for some reason.
Well, and it's difficult because the thing, when you start thinking about simulation theory, it becomes kind of like, it becomes evident that it's almost inevitable that that will happen based on our own trajectory. Like we're already almost getting to that point where we can simulate a world within a computer or a series of computers. And also at the same time, looking outward, how would you know? Like, what methodology could you employ to determine whether you're in a simulation or whether you're not?
Hmm.
Because, like, if you think about it, you could always, like, essentially, it's like, oh, well, you develop detectors or something. Well, how do you detect simulation? How would you test?
Triangles.
Yeah. How would you test to see whether it's a simulation or not? You know, you just wouldn't know.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but uh, the skeptical mind in me though has to go with the uh, uh extraordinary claims require extraordinary
Mm-hmm.
evidence, and uh that seems like a far more complicated explanation for what we experience, especially with the level of detail, the, the level of adaptability,
No, no,
the
you're
sheer
right.
bandwidth for that. Like I
You're
don't know,
right, but
like
then that goes to like the argument for God from complexity or purpose or whatever. That like that isn't necessarily a counter argument, like the level of detail and things like that, because it is conceivable that at some point in time, even us, we will reach a level of technological capability that we could simulate. I mean, have you seen some of the video games? They're like today, they're very, they're getting there. And we're just children when it comes to that. So you can imagine in like 1,000 years how advanced that'll be.
I mean, maybe I could go off the rails and do like a Rick and Morty thing and go like peel the wall off and there will be another dimension or something.
If
But
you had like a chroma key backdrop, you could do that.
yeah.
Oh, we have a comment too. Good God, flashbacks to my youth as a uh, uh, very confused, trying to be Christian, very young child. I thought we were all angels, dreams, and children died young because the angel woke up to go potty. I mean, that's an interesting thought. Honestly, it's like, yeah. I mean, what if there's players playing it? And I had this idea with simulation theory that basically maybe a species somewhere, like in another dimension or whatever, um, or maybe in this dimension, but we're just running on a server. Um, they have uh, I don't know, they have limitations and stuff, but they're very technologically advanced. They maybe they get so advanced and explore everything and they just get bored. And so they're like, well, why don't we create a world where we can like explore different possibilities, have challenges because we don't have challenges anymore, that kind of thing. We're just we're bored. So maybe they create this simulation and people can play as different. Like there's an Erik character, there's a Casey character, and everybody because it's like there's a reason why when you play Doom, there's like four different modes. It's like there's the nightmare mode that's like super super difficult and ultra violence and stuff, and then there's the easy one. It's like, well, if you just want a casual experience, you play the easy one. But if you want a real hardcore challenge, you go to the highest level.
Hey man, why are you guys playing on nightmare mode?
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Because and that's the thing. Because they're bored, that's a possibility. I don't
Hmm.
know. Just say, well,
I mean,
in
what
a,
if we're all immortal and reincarnate and those people created the simulation that we are?
well,
So, like, we
well,
don't
and
even get to be the real people.
this is something that I think of all the time, and I think everybody should to take solace in a way. It's almost you could almost say it's a bit of a religious or maybe spiritual sort of way of thinking.
It's very
But like,
similar, I think.
but
Yeah.
think about it like this: anything that's going wrong in your life, if it's hard and you're struggling, whatever, just think, oh, okay, I'm playing on hard mode. I picked the challenge, and I better see it through or whatever. And it's like, so instead of thinking like, oh my god, the universe is out to get me, like why did I get dealt this stupid hand, it's more like, oh, I chose to do this because to show off to the other players or whatever, just be like the one that can like weather the storm, that kind of thing. It's a
Yeah,
good
but
feeling. It's like, oh yeah, anything that goes wrong, it's like, well, it's probably
I
just.
guess that's the proof that it's not a simulation. Like, if it's a simulation,
Mm-hmm.
we are the player, right? We
Mm-hmm.
are experiencing the avatar, right?
Yeah.
So we would be pretty fucking aware that we chose the hard mode or not.
No, because going back to the Matrix, like the people in there weren't aware that they were connected to machines outside. So it's like a virtual world that we're inhabiting. So when
Yeah,
you're
but
when
that's a
you're connected,
story though. Like
well,
if this were an actual real life simulation that we were experiencing, I don't know that there would be that kind of disconnect. Like you would start the game, let's say,
mhm.
like remembering stuff, like that would not just get 100% wiped away
Well,
in a
okay, but
normal game
like,
time span.
but
Like,
think about it this way. So, okay, yeah, if you're sitting at a computer playing a first person shooter, you get like immersed in it, but you're still aware of your surroundings, and your hands are moving and doing stuff to the controls. Um, but then when you have VR, it becomes a little looser, like it gets a little harder to differentiate, like a VR headset. But I'm talking about like a direct neural connection, so you can experience feeling and stuff like that with the avatar. And at that
yeah.
point you'd be so disconnected because obviously, if you think about it, if you are to experience this world as if it were real, there could be no connection to the other world. Otherwise you'd be aware of it and it would screw it up, because part of the game is.
I don't know that I'll ever buy that because there's like you experience that in your life anyway.
Mm-hmm,
Like you don't live in the house that you grew up in, but you haven't completely forgotten it.
mm-hmm.
You will never completely forget it.
Okay, well,
Like
what's the
that never gets erased. Like
okay, no,
your
think about it.
memory doesn't just get erased because your your reality is totally different. Your
Well,
surroundings are different. That would be
okay.
completely weird.
Okay, well, no, then I've got
We would just
another.
have all this amnesia constantly. Like,
Okay, I
where
I
do I
have.
come from?
No, I have another movie example then, or book story example. Total Recall. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, but these are all stories. Like,
No,
I'm
but it's an example of a potential process, because like if you want to, like, because that was the thing in Total Recall. He goes to have this experience of being, you know, and being like a super spy basically, or that kind of thing. And in order to do that, he can't be aware of his previous life. That's part of the process. They like essentially clear your memory and then put you into this machine and puts you into the game.
mhm.
Because if you still remembered, obviously you'd be like, oh well, yeah, obviously this is a game. That wouldn't help at all. It wouldn't be a real world experience if you knew that you were actually just a person outside playing a role. No, to have an immersive experience, you can't remember the other world. And maybe this is the thing, and this is what, you know how you have like
But there's no going
weird.
back from that, right?
No, you could. Well, who knows what technology exists? It's like we were talking about downloading and uploading memories. What if you could like clear it and store it in a server, put you in a machine? You can have that experience and then come back carrying that experience with you, maybe that kind of thing.
Huh. And maybe implant major memories from the news over the years that you missed or something.
Sure.
I suppose.
Well,
It's still far-fetched, but
no,
in
it is.
that aspect, I suppose like it could be
But
a
this is a
thing.
this is kind of a thought experiment of like how this could be possible. Like I
But
would,
it would still be strange because like yeah, like how do you have maintain some level of autonomy like if there's I don't know an emergency and like your kid is dying of cancer or something and you want to disconnect from you would want to disconnect from the game and spend
well, that's where sudden death
any
happens.
time with
That's
what?
where the simulation just finds a, makes you wander. A bus come your way unexpectedly, or you have a
That's
heart
why people
attack.
die early.
Yeah, you have a heart attack or something like that. Just sudden death that to pull you out, and that way the other players are totally unaware of what's going on. You
Hmm.
know, like and you should go watch the animated work of Dark Matter 2525. Okay, I'll definitely check that out. There's way too much suffering in the world for that to track. Oh yeah, for a simulation. Well,
Hmm.
that that's kind of my point. Is a lot of that is part of the game. Now, it could be that some of the players that you're seeing in the game are NPCs that are just there to, beef up the amount of players so it looks like a bigger world than it really is. That's a possibility too.
Hmm.
So yeah, no one is logging in to be starving or tortured. Well, yeah, exactly, and that's where it's like, I mean, it seems cruel to say, well, they're just NPCs in the game, but it's like this is the thought experiment. So how could you factor that in? Because yeah, you wouldn't want to be born and only play the game for a couple of years and be beat up and assaulted and stuff like that as a child and then die.
Yeah.
Uh, and of course, the game may take on a life of its own too. Like as players manipulate the system, it does what it does. As whatever we do, we can build like Minecraft or something. Like we can manipulate the universe in which we inhabit.
Or there's this technology being discussed. I think we talked about this briefly in a Lightning Strikes Twice or something, where you can live out your prison sentence in a matter of moments by
Oh yeah.
having the victim's perspective like downloaded to your brain so that you can kind of like live out what they went through
Mm-hmm.
uh you doing to them.
Hmm.
Rather than spending 20 years in prison, you spend 20 minutes getting this done, and then you are considered rehabilitated.
Hmm.
What if this is some protracted torture that we're going through as prisoners?
Yeah.
Like we don't get the slow or the 20-minute version. We get the
Oh, you're
Picard living his entire
actually
life in
actually no,
7 minutes version.
yeah, no, you're that's a good point. That maybe that like in the world there are free people who just elect to do this, and they can choose whatever kind of game they want to play. But then the people who have committed crimes, they're like, all right, well, yeah, you get the shit end of the stick players. We'll give you these shitty ones, and they're like, oh, I guess so, because it's like there's your punishment is having to go through a shitty life or having to be tortured or something like that. Who knows? I mean, it's hard to say. But again, it would be indistinguishable because a lot of times some people might want to choose the challenging one just for the challenge. And you would never know, because if your real world memory was cleaned out before you started the game, you'd never know. But maybe you're somebody who's like, hey, I'm kind of bored with these fantasy things where everything goes my way. I want to see what I can do with like, being a paraplegic or something like that.
Oh God. Uh,
Hmm.
that puts a whole other spin on suicide then, doesn't it? That's just
Yeah.
that's nothing more than hitting reset. Like, oh, I'm done
Oof.
playing the hard version.
That's true.
Uh,
But here's where it's
yeah.
like, this is a thought experiment. This isn't, we can't prove anything. So I wouldn't take that chance. Um,
Right?
it's not worth it.
Yeah, you can't believe it's simulation theory that much if you're not
No,
willing to be
no.
like, all
But
right, well then hit reset,
I
motherfucker.
know. But here it could be a therapeutic tool potentially, though, where it's like the things that cause somebody to want to kill themselves, maybe like changing your perspective might make those things not. It's like, oh well, okay, if this is just a game, then all that
That's
stuff isn't.
dangerous. I
I
feel
know.
like that's dangerous because
It's
the
yeah.
alternate way to look at that, the other
I,
spin on that is,
yes.
oh, it might be easier if I just hit reset
Yeah.
and
I
start
know. I
over.
know exactly. Well, then you could say, okay, well, but then your peers are going to look down on you for you know, taking the easy way
How are
out.
they going to know? They're all memory wiped too. Like,
Well, maybe there's people who are not playing at that time. Who knows how many players there actually are? There could only be you and me. You'd never know.
how
And maybe,
shitty a player are you that I moved
well,
all the way across the simulation globe?
yeah, well, think about it this way. What if there's only so many players that are playing the game? And then in the outside world, you're televised. There's like a whole huge like arena with a big jumbotron, and they're all watching what everybody's doing.
we we have two watchers right now, but in reality, there's 2 billion watchers.
I mean, who knows? It's just, these are the things you think about, And I don't even have any THC in my system. How about that?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's, whew, man. But hey, this actually, we kind of circled back to where we began, because this is still talking about immortality and
yeah,
reincarnation and stuff like
or at
that.
least like what is a life, you know? Like
Well, and see, I'm taking it from a technological, or like a potentially scientific standpoint, and not a spiritual one. Like a way that you could explain with what we know today that could be possible. Whereas it's like, if it's God or something like that, then it's like, well, that's really hard to define. But we could be like, well, we can actually simulate things right now. So hey, it's conceivable that a species could over time develop their technology to the point where they could create a simulation that's indistinguishable from reality. um just like Total Recall. So interesting thought.
yeah. I I ran out of beer though, and
uh,
that that would be deserving of another beer, I think.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's a good point here that I guess could be the final one, I guess. That's a very dangerous idea in reality. Yeah, well, and that's, yeah. um because that lets society off the hook for fixing the shit that is reality. Yeah, that's true. But maybe, and that's,
I mean, unless it's a sandbox for working out ideas or something.
mhm.
But I think in that aspect, it would be more short-lived. Like you would you obviously wouldn't erase your memory because you would want to jump back into reality with whatever you just experienced,
Mhm.
having reality in your mind while you experience a scenario that you're trying to play out, you know?
Well, and that could be, and like I said, the possibility that it's a species that just have done everything and they're bored, so they're creating this world. And so part of the challenge too is fixing things in the system. Like you're up against near impossible odds in some cases. So like being able to accomplish that is a it's accomplishment either way. So even if it's a simulation, the people watching on the jumbotron, they're like, yeah, you know. But in real reality, then it's like, oh, you've accomplished something and you've made a difference within the system.
How depressing would it be if our lives were just a reality TV show and we had no idea?
Was that the Truman Show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. Hmm. Oh man. Well, this was a interesting one.
Yeah.
We went all over the place, but it was as usual.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is what we do on this show.
So we covered immortality, Internet 2.0, child porn, and simulation theory.
Yep.
That's quite a spread.
And then a few other things kind of connected to that too. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Wow. All right. Well,
And if anyone's wondered how we put all those things together, you've got a lot of backlog to watch.
yes, yes. We've become pros
That's
at
what we do.
meandering. Yes. Oh yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for sticking it out. Thank you for Victoria for all the comments. And yeah, we'll be back next week for who knows what. We
Yeah.
we have no
And
idea.
yeah, if you're watching on a phone, try that hype thing because we definitely won't be monetized on this one, and
Nope.
the algorithm will probably work against us as well. So
Yeah. And
we
feel
need the
free.
hype.
Yeah, and maybe like in the comments too, you can always throw out some ideas for a future topic as well.
Yeah, yeah.
We do love that.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Well, I think my bladder says it's time to end. Um,
Yep. Computer end program.